Hey, Real Academics, Maggie here. Today I want to talk about starting your own podcast. Now, I may have to make more videos because depending on whether there's interest in this topic. I'm definitely interested in it. I've been thinking about it for quite a while. So I just wanted to share with you some ultra basic things I've learned about how to start a podcast. And so that if you are wanting to do that, you have some information to spring forward off of. So first off, I just want to say that podcasting, at least to me, has seemed a bit more complex than I thought it would be. I've shared how to start a YouTube video, which is fairly simple, like to start, right? The whole like maintaining and growing an audience and all that, that's a whole other thing. Same with podcasting. However, to me, podcasting isn't quite as simple. Could be wrong. Please always comment. Let me know what you know, what your thoughts are, your questions are, what you want to know more about, so that I can help think about that with you. So let me share what I've learned so far. And the reason I think podcasting is just such an interesting medium to communicate. I know it's really grown in the last couple of years. I personally have found podcasts super helpful. I usually watch them on YouTube, so we'll touch on that because there's the whole like recording and the listening part of it, and then the posting it on YouTube, right? So let me share my screen. So obviously there's the audio and the visual, right, to think about with podcasting. So here we go. Let me make this a little bigger. I have this first up because Substack, which I've talked about in previous videos, is a useful tool I just started using for my blog posts. And I noticed that they have a podcast feature, which is cool. So like you could easily just put a title and add a podcast. You'd have to upload a recording or just hit record. 3, 2, 1. I am recording a podcast. So it's, that's pretty, oops, it says it's discarded. Okay, I've obviously never done this. I'm just showing you that. Oh, here we go. I created a podcast right now with like in 5 seconds. So this is interesting. The thing about this though, is that this is only going to be housed within Substack. Okay. I am recording a podcast. So it's, it doesn't have video, right? You can generate a transcription. That's awesome. You should always do that with a podcast. So if you want like ultra simple, but it's just within one platform, then there's an option, right? However, this will not go out beyond this. And I think if you really want reach, you will want to disseminate what you record more widely, which is why I'm going to share this with you. And I am not endorsing, I am not, what do you call it, being sponsored in any way by any of these products. These are just the things I have found currently. So there are services there are other ones such as Buzzsprout, which make it super simple to upload your podcast recording, like your sound and video file. And I'll show you, we'll talk about how to do that and tease that out in a second. So you can upload it onto something like this service called Buzzsprout is one of many. I think there's one called Podbean. I don't know. There's different ones. I am not an expert on this, but I've watched lots of YouTube videos from experts that talk about all these options. So Buzzsprout is one. They actually have a YouTube channel about podcasting with tons of free information. And I actually really, really love their YouTube channel and have learned a whole lot about, and it's not just about their product here at all. It's everything from equipment to lighting, and I'll touch on that slightly. So definitely, again, I am not endorsing them per se, but like I really do like their YouTube channel. So, and I have been exploring their free version and so far really like it. So I pull up this page because this is the thing I want you to think about, is to disseminate your information. You'll want something like Buzzsprout, okay? And what they do, what these services do, is they easily create an RSS feed. Now, I'm not going to try to explain what that means other than it's the link to your podcast episode or recording. And that has to be created. So these services do it for you. And then that link or the RSS feed, where you're uploading your podcast, is disseminated out into all these different podcast, I guess, what do you call them? Platforms, things like Amazon Music, and now Google has podcasting. Spotify is a really popular one, Apple Podcasts, and there's a whole lot more. So something like this service will make it super easy for you to, upload it, get your RSS feed going, and then like every time you upload, it just disseminates. So that's lovely. I think it's just a good thing to do, to have, to make your life easier. They're usually really reasonably priced too. You'll want to check it out. I'm not going to that because things change, right? But yeah, I mean, you can explore this. You can Google other, like, how do I create an RSS feed? And there's lots of different services that do it. Like I said, this is the one I've been most exploring and have found useful as of now. And then the other thing you want to think about is the recording, right? So you could just do an audio recording of your podcast. However, I think more and more people like video or like to have that option when there's a podcast. So I would recommend doing a video and sound recording. So if you do that, you can use, I mean, some people use Skype, you can use Zoom. However, I talk to people who have done podcasts on professional levels, and I've read some things from professionals, and a lot of them will recommend other services. So this is one example. This is called Riverside, and now you can see me on this other screen, which isn't as filtered as Zoom. It's different, right? And my background's different. So Riverside so far has been really fascinating for me. So what these Riverside specifically does is it will record locally on every participant's computer. Now, don't ask me technical details on that, other than the fact that I know that if your intent, let me back up. If your intent is to just you talk, you don't need something like this. Okay, you could just use Zoom, or whatever, or some other video recording software on your computer to record yourself and your voice. Okay. This is if you want to, let's say, like interview someone that's somewhere else, right? So let's say I'm going to interview an author that lives in, I don't know, in New York, and I'm over here in Florida or in Texas or in California or wherever, or across the world, right? And they're just not in my location. Riverside, what it does is when we log in, which is different than Zoom, is it actually records to that person's, like the local recording on the other person's computer, and then it records mine locally. So what happens is the quality is better, and all the recordings go up to a cloud and they're stored here. So services like Riverside, again, I'm not endorsing any particular one. This is just the one that was recommended and I've been exploring for the moment. They will also house your video and audio files as well. So you're paying for that as well, like on a cloud. And then when it comes to actually editing the podcast, so the sound, like extracting the sound and the video, which you don't have to do if you use things like Buzzsprout. Like I tried it and I just uploaded my file and it just knew to like tease things out, which was great. But for editing, Riverside has all these really cool things where you can like tease it all out, and I don't know, I'm not an editor, so I cannot speak to that. So actually I would highly recommend you find someone, unless you know about this and I've heard it, like it's not terribly difficult to do your own editing, but I know it's time consuming. So, but you can hire it out to there's people that do it. I was going to share, I guess, here. So in watching videos about podcasting, I know like Audacity is very popular for the actual editing part. That's just like an all around, I hear about it quite a bit. People that use Macs or Apple's computers talk a lot about GarageBand, making it really, really easy to edit and cut sound and, make it sound better, take out all the ums and pauses, awkward pauses and things. That's for sound. Okay. So that's all I really have to share as far as editing. Maybe if I learn more about it or if people are interested, I can try to make future videos on that. But right now I just wanted you to share just the very basic components, right? So like I said, you'll want something that will disseminate things easily. You want to think about how you're going to record, and I highly recommend video and sound. Again, you don't need something like Riverside unless you're really wanting good quality and you're talking to people, like interviewing people that are somewhere else. Okay. Whew. All right. The other huge thing that I'm hearing over and over and over again from people I've talked to that, like I said, that have done this professionally or who have posted things online or just YouTube videos on podcasting is that sound is the most important thing. If the sound is bad, people are not going to listen, even if your content is good. Video is slightly more forgiving, interestingly enough. However, we'll talk about video in a second. You can see my video looks quite different just from Zoom to Riverside. So, all right, this is the microphone I hear over and over again that is highly recommended if you're starting off from and you really want a low budget and you're just trying things out. So and again, this is November 2023, things may change, but I mean, over and over, I hear that this microphone is awesome for the price. Again, the prices may change, things get dated, but I'm sure it would be less expensive than some of the professional. I don't know. I guess this is professional, but there are other tiers of microphones, so I'm going to share those with you as well. So again, this one's been highly recommended in all the videos and things I've read. Then there's this one. This was more of a middle of the road type of microphone in terms of price. Now, I've looked at a ton of brands. I'll get into the Yeti in just a second. But Shure is the one I think I've settled on. This is the one, like in the giant podcast world, like people, I mean, I'm not endorsing anyone or anything, but like Joe Rogan uses Shure and other like very, very well, I mean, he's like the top at the moment, podcasters. So this is like the brand. All right. Now, if you want the microphone, it would be this one. And you can see the prices change. All right. And then you're going to see all these like all these like MVX. And I'm not going to get totally into that, but I will share some of it with you or what I know in just a second. So like this is the creme de la creme type of microphone. Okay. And there are other brands. There are other really, really good brands too. I'm just sharing this with you so you can get a sense of like the price ranges and how you can just start with something simple that is high quality. How now there are some middle of the road type options. And then like, you know, the really, really fancy ones, because sound is very, very important. You want it to sound crisp and clear. Okay. You just don't want bad sound on the podcast. All right. One thing I do want to point out with all these microphones that I am sharing, and I mentioned the Blue Yeti, which is very, very popular. Sorry, I don't have a picture of it, but you can Google it. And it's a great microphone. The issue with things like Blue Yeti and similar microphones is that so if you look at all the ones I've shared say dynamic. That one says dynamic. This one says dynamic. This one should say dynamic. Yeah, right here, dynamic. Okay. If you Google Blue Yeti, it's going to say condenser or similar microphones like Blue Yeti. So my basic understanding at the moment is that condenser microphones are more sensitive. So they will pick up nuances in your voice. I'm sure they're, you know, and it's really, really nice. However, it also picks up a lot of background noise. So you want to make sure you're in a really, really soundproof room if you use a condenser microphone. So a lot of people like dynamic because dynamic will be sensitive to the sound waves of your voice and will not be as likely at all to pick up background noise. The issue is you have to make sure you're at least, you know, I think I've heard like 4 fingers from the microphone. Whereas a condenser, you don't have to worry too much about how close you are to it, I guess. I mean, again, if you know more about this, please drop comments below on this and your thoughts on this. I also know dynamic is the way to go if you decide ever to record in the same room. Okay. And so if you do record if you're recording on your own, the easiest thing is to make sure you have a USB connection. So you'll notice again, all the ones I'm showing you have a USB connection. Now this one's really fancy. The really fancy one used to not have that, but they now have this MVX2U, which can help converts to USB. So you can use USB, and that's a fairly new thing. Because if you don't have the USB, you have an XLR, but these are awesome because they have both USB and XLR. And XLR is like the pro level, right? Because that's what you use to connect these microphones to things like this. Now, this is a very simple, let's see, what do I call this? See, this is how new I am to this. It's an audio interface. Let's see, right here. So this is the thing you use to make the sound even more like professional. That's from what I understand. Also, these kinds of devices are what you would need if you are recording in the same room as other people. You are not going to connect multiple micro USBs into a computer with multiple microphones. It's not going to work. So you need to connect the microphones using the XLR cables into an audio interface like this. Now, that's all as far as I know. Okay. I've heard this one is recommended for like starting and even professional level. It's small and compact. It's not ridiculously expensive. So just sharing the information I've learned. How it actually works, like on your computer or all that, and the transferring sounds, I have no idea. Okay, this is how new I am to podcasting. I'm not even to this level yet. So I'm figuring it out as I go. So right now, again, I'm just laying out the basic like components and things to think about if you decide to do a podcast. Okay, so that's all sound. Like, so when it comes to video, I mean, you want to look good too, right? So Zoom has all these awesome like filters and makes your skin look ultra smooth and all this stuff, right? But you want to think about lighting too. Like I said, video is not as important as sound, but it is something definitely to consider. You know, you don't want to make a video where you're all just dark in the background. So this is like just entry level lighting, very, very entry level. So these are called ring lights. And they attach, you can see, to your screen or your phone. And they just, you know, they'll show examples here like, okay, if you don't have the light versus if you have the light. And so that can make a huge difference. I think this will, I mean, for the price, I think this is great to have even just like for Zoom calls and things. So I'm excited to try this out, see if it makes a difference. Of course, people also use natural lighting. There are more sophisticated lights, like even up to like those umbrellas that you can put up, kind of like if you see a photo shoot for models or something. There's like kits that you can buy with umbrellas, simple ones, or just lights that are on stands that you can put on your desk. My desk is really quite small, so I'm going to start with a ring light and see how that works. So again, I'm very, very new to this, but I am just sharing the things I'm learning about how to set up a podcast. And like I said, it's just more involved than I thought it was. But I'm trying to keep it simple at the same time, right? Like I'm like, okay, I'll go with a ring light. You know, I'm probably going to stay in this microphone range, right? Maybe this is for later, but it's good to know, you know, this information. Again, I would only purchase this if I really needed it or decided at some point if I'm recording with someone else in the same room. I'll let you know, I'll keep you posted on the lighting. So I hope that was helpful as far as like just thinking about all of the different possibilities for starting, possibilities, and also all the components of what's involved in starting a podcast. So let me know what you think about this information, what you know, what you'd like to know more about, maybe questions that like I said, I'm very new to this. I'm going to be trying stuff out. And as I do, I am happy to share it if people are interested. But at the very, very least, I wanted you to see kind of the process and all the pieces of what is potentially involved in creating a podcast, which again, I think is a great medium to disseminate information, and we should definitely try it out, try new things. All right, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Hit the notification bell so you get notified whenever new things are uploaded. And of course, please comment. That way I know that you're watching this and what else you want to know, and definitely share. I appreciate that a lot. And until next time, take care.